Are you ready to garden under lights? Well, I hope so, because we're joined by Leslie Halleck, author of a brand new book, Gardening Under Lights. And welcome to Central Texas Gardener.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is a topic that seems like it's growing in fascination. And tell me a little bit about why you got started with this.
Well, I'm a horticulturist by education and profession, but also a lifelong gardener. And my master's degree happens to be in greenhouse environmental controls and production. And I garden intensively indoors and out. And Timber Press thought that the topic needed sort of a rebirth for the new modern gardener. And they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "What would you think about this?" And I thought, you know, this is something that really needs an update, and that new folks that are gardening in smaller spaces could really use some help with. So I thought this would be perfect for me.
You know, when I think about gardening with lights, I think about like something from the 1970s,
Yeah,
stuck
right.
in a closet.
Right. So my goal with this book is to help bring the old closet garden out of the closet into sort of modern day mainstream gardening for people.
Encouraging people to kind of be experimental
Yes.
with it and use it in all different kinds of settings.
Well, I mean, I think people are looking for ways to grow their own food, and you know,
exactly.
plant keeping is such a huge hobby right now. People are way into houseplants and succulents, and many don't have outside gardens, and so they really don't have any choice but to grow plants and food indoors. Or maybe you want to grow off season. You know, if you want to grow tomatoes in winter, you know, you got to do it indoors.
You know, speaking of food production, I've seen time and time again in how-to shows or when I flip around, people are saying, "Oh, how wonderful it would be to have herbs in your own kitchen," and then they show a demonstration of that, and they, you know, like a bunch of herbs on a wall in a dark spot, which I'm thinking, painful death.
Yeah, it is a little painful when I see those, and there's been a big push into the retail garden center market of products and units that you mount on the wall or set on the counter in the kitchen to grow herbs, and they're all populated with things like sage and rosemary and basil, which guess what? Full sun, bright light loving plants. They're not going to thrive in your kitchen in that situation without grow lights.
Right.
Period.
Right. And grow lights don't have to be like some kind of industrial scale operation anymore.
No, and I think, you know, folks think about shop lights, fluorescent shop lights when they think about grow lights. And the great thing today is that in the last few years there has been an explosion of technology in grow lighting. So not only are there much more efficient choices, but there are really attractive choices that you can put in your living space that we didn't have before.
Give me an example of one of those new technologies that is so much more attractive.
Well, so their LEDs have made leaps and bounds in their use for growing plants. They didn't start off as the best light outputting grow lamps for plants, but now you can buy really beautiful hanging fixtures that look great in the living room, but that are specifically for growing plants. Perfect for spotlighting citrus trees or large tropical houseplants that aren't getting enough light.
The book is really trying to tell people different strategies they can employ. So walk me through those.
Well, so for folks that are really looking to start out at the basics, you know, seed starting indoors or just really growing new plants from the start, I covered those aspects, how to light your seedlings and cuttings, all the way up to folks who really want to get intensive about growing, you know, lots of tomatoes and peppers or citrus and actually get them to fruit indoors. So you can pick and choose where you want to start. There is a little science in the book, I will warn you. But I also say in the beginning, you're allowed to skip some of that if you're not ready for it.
Okay.
You can always check back later on if you get, you know, in deeper.
Okay, well, I want to talk about a couple of things you just mentioned.
Sure.
One is the propagation side, because I remember my very first gardening experience was growing plant in my kitchen windowsill as a kid.
Right,
My mother
right.
encouraged us to plant up. So tell us about the germination cycle, 'cause that can be really tricky.
It can, and I'll tell you, a lot of folks get really disappointed their first couple of times trying to start seeds, especially because they usually don't have grow lights. And those seedlings, poor little things, just stretch and flop over in the windowsill,
die
and then you get
rot.
discouraged and you might not try again. So I really do cover all the basics of how to be successful with seed germination with the right kind of lighting, how long, what temperature, and I cover lots of different plants and crops, so you know just what to do for each type of plant.
Okay, and then on the food production side, we were talking a little while ago, and you were talking about a plant that people might consider peppers.
Yeah, I
I would
mean,
never think about that.
I grow tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, squash, cucumbers indoors in the winter. So I really grow year round. So peppers are a great plant for beginners looking to get into food because they're pretty resilient and pretty productive. They are going to need brighter light, so you want to go with a higher intensity grow light, and I cover that in the book. But peppers themselves are fairly easy to take care of. So for somebody looking to dip their toes into edible crops beyond lettuce, peppers are a good place to start.
And just a little while ago, you mentioned citrus. That kind of
I
blows my
know.
mind.
Well, citrus want to bloom in the cool months, right? So just when
Sure.
you need to bring them inside so the plants don't freeze, they're wanting to flower, and then low light indoors, they drop those flowers. No
Yeah.
flowers, no fruit.
Right.
So if you need to bring citrus indoors in the winter, adding a grow light to keep them healthy through the winter is a great way to get fruit on indoor plants, which otherwise you won't.
Let's talk more about the different lighting techniques.
Sure.
Because again, in a lot of people's minds, this is, you mentioned fluorescent lamps, and so there's a lot of different varieties now.
There are, and I go into great detail in the book about all the different types of grow lights and what crops they're good for, what plants you can use. Really, beginners, small plant collectors can start out with HOT5 fluorescent lights or LEDs. Those are great for a lot of plants people are going to keep inside, succulents, seedlings, things like that. You're going to bump up to what we call HID lighting, high intensity discharge, when you want to grow things like tomatoes or heavy flowering and fruiting crops. So there's some really great new efficient technology out there for the home gardener, not for an industrial operation, but for mainstream home gardeners that want to keep some of those plants indoors.
Are these energy efficient? I'm just thinking about the electric bills.
Yeah, so when we talk about efficiency with grow lighting, it's not just about the electricity used, it's how much light they actually generate from that electricity. So there's a few different components
Okay.
involved in deciding on efficiency, but most grow lighting today is getting more and more efficient every day. So you want to look at outputs and what you're getting from that grow light to determine how efficient it is for you.
Okay. Is there a kind of a bottom limit on how much light you should expect from any device?
Well, a lot of the LEDs that are out there might pull in the range of 3 to 6 watts. They're the small little LED grow lights that
Yeah.
can fit into a home fixture.
Yeah.
That's really only going to be good for one small plant.
Okay.
Folks make the mistake of thinking that a very small, low wattage grow lamp like that can light their whole tray of seedlings. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So you need to get up to 54 watts on a fluorescent or LED to several of them in order to generate enough light for seedlings or for indoor houseplants.
Okay. And a lot of people, and when they think about their indoor container gardens, they might have a cluster of plants they'd like
Correct.
to light.
Right. So if you've got a group of plants, or say large tropical plants, you might have to use several spotlight LEDs, or you might go to a larger grow fixture that holds, say, 3 or 4, individual fluorescents or LEDs to get enough bright light. It depends on how much ambient light you have coming into the room from your
Okay.
window. So
Okay.
it's every
Sure.
situation is going to be different. So I talk about how you can figure that out in your space, and if you want to get into measuring light, I'll teach you how to do that too. If you're not, I give you basic tips on how to gauge
I
your
think
light.
I'd stick with the
Yeah,
basic tips.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
We mentioned some of the food production kinds of plants, citrus, etc. But there are a lot of different ornamentals that
Yes.
people are experimenting with and being successful with because of the lights.
Right. I've sold a lot of succulents to people in my days, and these days they're super popular as houseplants, and succulents are, as we know,
Yeah.
high light, bright light loving plants. They tend to thrive in sunny locations, often with 4 or 5 hours of direct sunlight.
Right.
Well, take that inside an apartment or a dorm room, and all of a sudden those plants start to rot and
Yeah.
die, and that's really disappointing. So smaller LED panels or little spotlights are perfect for keeping little collections of succulents inside, and I think that folks will find they're a lot more successful with them if they give them brighter light.
Okay, and of course, there are a lot of them are cold sensitive,
Yes.
so protecting them indoors during the wintertime.
Right. So a lot of them are zone 9, 10 plants, so you can't leave them outside on the patio depending on where you are. You got to bring them inside and give them some light.
All right. Well, Leslie, awesome work.
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming
Yeah.
on Central Texas Gardener and sharing the indoor garden
Yes.
side of things with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Likewise. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
Coming up next, it's Stephanie.